Hello everybody, welcome to the stream. I'm Follygon, or you can call me Ben, either works if this is your first time joining us on a stream. I'm just going to be sculpting away here in ZBrush, and you guys can feel free to ask any questions or just chill out, hang out, chat, whatever. Instead of working on our goofy boy like we have been doing though, I figured we could work on probably what's going to be either the last stream or last time entirely that I work on this character, since I've been working on it for quite a while here. This Domino sculpt that I've been working on. It's a concept originally by Domino on ArtStation. You can find their work. We've been working on our good old goofy boy here for the past like 4 streams or so. So I wanted to work on something a little bit different. Plus, I think this is it. I think this is like the last one. There's really just like some really nitpicky things that I kind of want to go over here, try to clean up and fix as much as I can. But yeah, let me know for the people that are kind of just joining me. Let me pull up my chat as well, make sure everything's working here. Let me know if you guys can hear me, and let's see here. Also, if you are watching on my YouTube channel, I'm also streaming on Twitch, and this week I am attempting to become a Twitch affiliate, which really isn't that hard. I've already gotten the hard stuff out of the way. I think it requires like 50 followers, and I have 150 or something like that. But the hard part is just getting consistent viewership. So if you are watching on my YouTube, there's a link down in the description. If you could go watch on my Twitch channel instead from what you normally do, I would greatly appreciate that, so that I can get, you know, just one more step closer to getting that Twitch affiliate on there. But yeah, like I said, last stream here working on this gal. I can do a quick kind of turnaround here so you can see the pose. It's pretty dynamic. I sculpted this asymmetrically. It's definitely a lot of work, but there's just a few other, like I said, small things that I want to take care of, and we can kind of chill out and work on some of those. Hey yo, what's going on, Katie, Azer? What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the stream, guys. And like I said, for those people that are new, that are just popping in, if you don't mind, if you have the ability, click the link down in the description to go watch on my Twitch channel instead. I am attempting to get the Twitch affiliate program achievement, or whatever it's called, just so I can be that one step closer there. But yeah, let's go down the list here. I have a ton of stuff. One of the main things that I wanted to do on this character was try to break up all that hair on the backside. It's just looking really uniform. So anything I can do to add some asymmetry there. I haven't given it too much thought about how I can tackle that, but I have a couple ideas, and we'll kind of, you know, tackle that all at once. What's going on, Alex? Welcome everybody else as well. Hair, backside, different shapes, blah, blah, blah. Thinner neck. Yeah, okay, cool. So I think we'll just kind of go down the list organically here. Maybe top to bottom on the character or whatever. And see what we can do. So again, concept by Domino. You can find them on ArtStation. Go ahead and check out their work and give them a follow. They are they have some really cool concepts. Okay, so let's look here. So one of the things I want to attempt to accomplish is possibly trying to round out the back of my character a little bit more. So if we're looking at this from our side view, and we're looking at the silhouette read, coming up from this leg into the butt, into the back, just to get this, and then flowing forward into the head, I kind of want to attempt to get a little bit more of that roundness in the back, just so that this line is reading a little bit better, this internal line to external to back to internal. And then also, if we look here, we got a little bit of a silhouette line going up through that leg, and a little bit of some internal and external lines playing around together. So we can try to round out that back a little bit more. I think we'll be in a little bit of a better place. And Blue Stardust, thank you for the follow over on Twitch. I appreciate that. I don't know if Twitch alerts are working or not. I have my volume down pretty low. So I wasn't really paying attention. I apologize. My monitor is so very, very tiny right now. Let's try this. Cool. Let's see. Just spent the last hour rendering out a base scene to build a concept off of. Well, that sounds like some fun. And you need a new PC. Well, start saving up your allowance, Katie. Okay, guys. So, rounding this back out, it's going to be tough. I do have a bunch of live booleans set up here. I think what I am going to do is start by turning off the hair. I know it looks really goofy without the hair and eyes and everything. That's what the hair was there for, to cover up a lot of that awkward separation between the neck. I'll be doing some stuff to play with and fix the neck here as well. But VMate, what's going on? As well as everybody else, are you taking part in Sculptober? Well, you know, there's Sculptember and Sculptober. I like Sculptober more because it's, you know, there's only one month that ends in Ober, but there's many that end with Ember. So it's like Sculptember, is that September, November? You know, when is that? But yeah, Sculptober. Not in particular. I'm just kind of, you know, sculpting a crap ton as I normally do. So I'll be just, you know, working on my normal stuff. I think Sculptober is like a good way to help people that don't sculpt a lot, like get into it, like start, you know, just having that daily routine, get into that. I already have that. A lot. It's kind of to the extreme a little bit. So I'm I'm good in that regard. I'm gonna move this mic a little closer and hopefully not make a bunch of poppy noises as I do that. So I'm heading over to Transpose Master just so I can work on all of these meshes at once. Hopefully what that's going to allow me to do is round out the back of my character quite a bit more here, just so we can start figuring out this silhouette a little bit better. So let's look at that. This is such an extreme pose, and even when I go to do this, it's going to mess up a lot of other kind of things here. So let's just kind of play around and see what we can do without destroying too much of what we have built already. So let's see, I'm just grabbing my clothing, my belt, and my seam lines, and then I'm going to mask everything except for that. And I'm even going to turn off perspective since I'm working from an orthographic view here. It'll be a little bit easier to play with, I think. And it looks like a lot of new people have jumped in here. Let's see. A bunch of people hanging out on YouTube, as I was mentioning at the beginning of this stream. If you have the ability, please click the link down in the description. Sab the Robot, thanks for the follow over on Twitch as well. Sorry I missed you. And please go watch over on my Twitch channel. I'm trying to get the Twitch affiliates program this week, which I'm really close to. I have all the hard stuff out of the way. You need like 50 followers. I have 150. The hard one is just getting average viewership up, or I'm not sure if that's the exact terminology that they use. Something like that. But yeah, that's the tough one. And then it's just like, hey, stream for like 7 days in a month, and it's like, okay, that's that I can do. That I've done many times. But I kind of just started using Restream. If you guys are familiar with that, allows you to stream to multiple channels. So normally I just stream on my YouTube channel. It keeps it all in one place, but I don't know. I've been playing around with Streamlabs and Twitch a little bit, and I'm kind of liking what I see. So I don't want to fully kind of make a jump over there all at once, but kind of maybe trying to slowly make that transition and just see how it goes. But you know, we'll see. Try to get that Twitch affiliates program first. Back is already starting to round out a little bit more. If we can, just kind of pop back and forth here. I'll even turn off poly paint. this will just kind of help me jump back and forth between that, see how that's reading. So before, if we take our transpose line, you can see really how straight that back is, but now I'm starting to get, whoops, wrong one. Get a little bit more of that roundness in here overall. So the torso and that upper part of the body are twisting pretty hard as her arm goes up. So what's really happening is it's not just her back, it's really her rib cage. And so I'm kind of pushing stuff more so how it would be possible. It's a, you know, stylized cartoon character, so we kind of have that freedom that we can push things around without, you know, worrying about breaking anatomy too much. There are many cases, even in anatomical sculpture work, where you see stuff pushed beyond what would be normal means, but because it helps in some kind of sculptural form, you know, either in silhouette or creating some kind of dynamic pose, we kind of accept it without even really questioning it normally. Let's see what's going on here. Gods of Fate really want me to work at Traveler's Tales. I've never heard of Traveler's Tales, or maybe I have, I don't know. 3 recruitment agencies forwarded me positions there in the last 4 months now. Yeah, those recruitment agencies, they like to really berate you, I guess. I've been in that position as well. VMate asks, Folly, how can I apply a boolean to a mesh in ZBrush? I know there's the option make boolean mesh, but is there, but it makes another tool and merge everything. Okay, yeah. We can show this really quick. This will take 5 seconds. Let's just grab, well, I guess we'll just do a cube. It doesn't really matter. So make boolean mesh, I'll just duplicate this. So you're asking about booleans, right? So the first step is to have 2 objects, right? That's the obvious. And then set the one object that is lower than the other one in your subtool list to negative. Make sure that live boolean is toggled, obviously, and now you can see those. Wow, great. Now we can kind of subtract that however we want, move that wherever we want, even, you know, rotate this cube. So this is all because I'm rotating that cube, getting a unique shape. And then when you click boolean make boolean mesh, what you have to do, you've done everything right, I think up to this point it sounds like, but what you need to do is make sure that nothing else is visible with this eye icon here, other than what you want to boolean. So if I went to this character and I wanted to boolean something out of this arm, I would want to hide everything else other than this subtool and the other one that I am subtracting. So now when I click on make boolean mesh, it'll create a new piece of geometry with that boolean operation out of it. And then you can go back to your subtool list and click on append and drop that in there, and now, hey look, you got your actual boolean geometry. Ta-da. That easy. And then we can delete all those. That didn't ask me for permission to do that. It should have. That's not good. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Relatively easy. It sounds like you pretty much had it. Just making sure that only those 2 are visible is the big thing. Or, you know, however many visible that you want to subtract or boolean additively from or to. All right, so back to our back. I'm just gonna try to push this even a little bit further. I'm thinking about, just trying to get a little bit more roundness here. Let's try to pull out along that. And I'm starting to dislike this. I don't want this kind of roundness here. Go into perspective and just start looking at this from some other angles. I think even this little bit of roundness is kind of helping. I think another thing that I'm going to do, which I do have on my list that will probably help in this this area of like the silhouette read from the orthographic side views, will also be in increasing the size of my hips slightly, just to give them a little bit more volume. So this is like really sticking out over here. This side's pretty good, but I think in general maybe widening my hips even a little bit more could be useful in that regard. This is like pushed like crazy, so we'll have to figure it out. Yeah, VMate, I think that's your main issue, but yeah, check that out and give it a try and let me know if that works out. And you're very welcome, of course, man. Cool. So let's see. It was the back, push back, flow, hips. Cool. I gotta be careful here with my pens because I hold on to this occasionally and I stop myself sometimes as I almost scratch up my Cintiq, so that would suck. Don't want to do that. Cool. Let's look at the hips now, because I think that will add to this area. Reading a little bit better. How am I gonna do this? So we got a lot going on here. I think I'm just, I don't know. I don't know how I'm gonna do this. Let's just start selecting some stuff, hiding some junk, turn on double so we can see what's going on here. That wasn't good. Got some gunk on my monitor here, or my pen nib is just starting to wear in one direction a little bit too much. Okay, so from here, let's, how am I gonna do this? So the problem is I don't want to just stretch this area because I'm going to stretch my hard surface pieces that I built. So I guess let's hide these first and stretch a little bit what can be stretched with the move brush. There's gonna be some corrections that I'm gonna have to do after this. And I'm not trying to make a huge change here. Just trying to get a little extra junk in the trunk. See, now I'm starting to get like this hunchback feeling, and I'm kind of, I don't know, I think I might try to get some of that dip in the lower back in place. We'll see. Yeah, you guys can see that we're starting to get some nasty tweaking there, so I'll have to adjust that outside of transpose, which isn't a huge deal. But we are getting a little bit more visible from this angle, which was one of the main things that I wanted to accomplish here. It's reading a little bit better. Let's see. So we really screwed up these, which isn't the end of the world. But I will need to adjust some of this stuff just a wee bit. Let's jump back to our subtools and fix what we can. Yeah, so I think we're looking pretty good here after that goes back. While that's doing its thing, and while I spit everywhere all over my monitor, that's fun. If you guys are new here, or if you like even if you have heard me say this before, please check out my Gumroad. There's a link down in the description. If you like the stream and if you like the free stuff that I do here, then you're definitely going to like the courses and mentorship, one-on-one mentorship that I have here. It's one of the things that I get asked about a lot. But yeah, I put a lot more work into this stuff, and if you're interested in learning ZBrush or just improving your skills or maybe focusing on something specific, I think you guys will like these a lot. So definitely check those out if you have a minute. And there is, like I said, a link down in the description. This is transposing very slowly, and that's because I have more than a couple polys on this character. I also have some live booleans that I should probably take care of. Speaking of VMate's question earlier, I also need to do the same thing to mine. So we'll take a look at that as well. I'm gonna have to... it's also taking even slower because of the poly paint, but not a big deal. Yeah, that's right. Gumroad is where everyone can get some free stuff. Now, I do actually have I think one free thing on there from one of my quick little YouTube tutorials for sculpting a male bust. I don't remember how much depth I go into in the video, but like I said, all the free stuff and streams that I do on Twitch and YouTube here, I put a lot more work into the courses that are on Gumroad. I think my latest course, the Sculpting and Stylizing a Feeling Female Face, I think there's over 5 hours of footage in that one, but yeah, that one was a lot of fun, and I've heard a lot of good things from people that have taken the course, as well as the mentorship, but now we're in a new month for the mentorship. I think I only had one slot left for mentorship for last month, so they filled up pretty quick, but now we're in a new month, so we're all set. We're all good to go. So I am excited for those. Those are actually one of the things that I look most forward to. Okay, so yes, a lot of things definitely got screwed up, mainly in our seaming. If I can find that subtool. So I think these do have subdivisions. I don't know why they got deleted, but I am going to undo the changes that were made to those during that transpose process, and then I'm going to get these subdivs back. I don't know what happened there. Let's turn this on positive so that I can actually see what I'm doing. And then from there, let's get it back to a point where it's going to subtract from my surface. So move brush, really big, and just holding the Alt key and pulling out slightly. I think that's working out pretty well there. BCH1205, thanks for the follow over on Twitch. Appreciate it. Are you guys, I don't know if you guys are seeing the follow alerts come up, but I am not on my end. So, I don't know what's going on there. Let's go back here. We might be able to see it if I actually open up the Twitch page, which I do not have open currently. Okay, so we're moving our seams, guys, just to pull those back out of the mesh since they got totally screwed up. And I guess I'll turn negative on temporarily just to see. Looks like this could be pushed actually in here a little bit more. So again, here's those live booleans at play. Really nice for these areas for creating stuff like seams in this instance. Over here though, we're completely broken, so we do need to move these. And I'm, like I said, really large move brush, low subdiv level, really easy to pull these out. And I think you guys saw from that transpose mesh. When it was that high res, you can see how really easy it is to just break stuff when you're on those high subdiv levels. That's that kind of warping that we get in those tight areas. That's what we want to avoid. So let's go to negative, and I think that needs to be pushed down a little. Cool, cool. Keep that seam all the way running through up to the knee point there. And let's add our subdivs back in. And this seam is such a small part of this entire character. It's more of just a little added detail, but I still want to make sure that that's still visible after I make, you know, a little adjustment to our back. We want to keep that in. So cool, I think we cleaned that up pretty well. We've widened our hips some, just a slight amount really. But the main point is now just making sure that this stuff is cleaned up and fixed in here and aligned properly. So let's delete our old T-pose. That tends to get in the way. And I'll do a quick save just to make sure we don't have to redo a bunch of stuff. Yes, I know you meant about the the rant video from Gumroad. Yes, I am well aware. I was there. I made it. There were a lot of people that don't speak English very well that thought that video was serious and that I was showing them a way that you could. There wasn't a lot of people. There was a few people that thought you could hack Gumroad. It amazes me how computer illiterate a lot of people are, and maybe that's just me, but in any web browser anywhere, you can just inspect an element and, you know, this isn't doing anything. This is like, look, now it's here. Now it's $0. It's like, wow, I can just hack Gumroad. No, you can't. You can't hack Gumroad. It still costs money. But I don't know. I guess a lot of people don't know you can do that. I thought most people were aware of that fact, but I went to school for front-end web dev and web design, so I guess maybe I assume more people know that than I should. Okay, so let's fix our strap here, guys. Now that it's starting to bubble out a little bit more than I want. See if I can find my belt. I'm just going to turn off everything but those two little loops of geometry. And these are pretty simple shapes, but they're really small. Or this is a really simple shape. I actually have some bevels and stuff on this belt and creased areas that are working really well. But this is just, you know, a little junky piece, something to connect the knife to the belt really fast. And it works. It gets the job done. And it's not really paid much attention to. If we look at the actual concept here, the knife is just floating on her leg. So I was like, well, I want that angle still. I want this to read the same for this character, for this hero pose, but I want it to make actual sense. I don't want it to just be super glued to her leg, so I had to create like a little strap there to make that actually, you know, make sense and not just it's balancing on her leg. Cool, that looks great, because it didn't look great. Did you catch the shaman concept I did last week? I did not. I will have to check it out. I would assume that it's probably on our ZBrush Discord channel. I will have to check it out for sure. But so it's Halloween, or Halloween is coming up, and over on our channel we're doing what is this? We're doing a month-long Halloween theme challenge, and I was thinking about not doing a shaman, but a witch. I think a witch would be fun for Halloween. I don't know if I'll have enough time to start and finish something before then, but because I'm working on 2 characters right now, this one and good old Goofy. I don't know if you guys have seen me working on that one, but hopefully I plan on finishing both of these this week, hopefully. I guess we'll find out. We'll see. Cool, so we've gotten our hips, our back a little bit, just working on silhouette and increasing the size of things. Like I said, this will be like pretty minor stuff, but it'll help help kind of a lot once it all starts to add up together. Okay, so the neck. Let's look at our derpy neck and go from there. I'm gonna save the hair for last because that's gonna take the most time. So our neck, our back, our neck, and our other back. My hair is kind of covering up the seam between the neck and the head intentionally because it starts to get a little weird. It's an awkward angle. It's pushed forward, like her body's twisting back this way and her head is like looking up. So it's like, it's not an attractive angle for her neck, especially since I've tried to get it to read at this kind of proportional range here for our illustration. So if we take off our hair and look at this, it's like, oh wow, that's a neck, all right. So let's work on, I think, just trying to thin this out a little bit and kind of go from there. So I've tried to merge and blend some of this together a little bit, and I think just using a move brush here. Might need to switch my pen nib. Or, let's see. I know I have one of these here. Let's see, 1 second. Just got junk on here, and it's causing either my pen to scratch or my pen nib is causing itself to scratch. It's so hard to pull these out all the time. I don't know if you guys always struggle with this, but I cut my nails super short, and it's super hard for me to grip anything really tiny. I don't know. It doesn't look like it's... Oh, I hate that sound. Just kind of rub that down really quick and spin it around a little bit. So I hold my pen at the same angle, well, not the same angle, but I hold it from the same direction all the time. So I wear down one side more than the other, and what ends up happening is the pen nib, instead of being rounded, it starts to like get a little slant on it. And then if I like ever twist it, it like has this like fingernail on a chalkboard scratch sound. And it's also scratching my Cintiq, so also not a good thing. That is much better though, now that I've moved that, spun that around. I rarely ever change my pen nibs. And I've maybe gone through like 1 or 2 ever. I don't know what other people do with their pen nibs, but they have to be pressing like as hard as they can. It's really hard to wear these things down, unless you're like just dipping them in acid or something. I don't know. But yeah, just a little bit of thinning out here. Like I said, really awkward angle. Really awkward overall, but that's what our hair is for concealing most of that. And I think the main areas that I'm looking for when I'm thinning this out are just kind of blending in from the back side here and a little bit from the front. Just so that's not like Giving her a giant goiter or something up here, or a huge Adam's apple. And we'll just try to blend that a little bit better here in just a moment after I res up. And I think once I go for the, you know, once I'm about to do final renders and everything else, I'm obviously going to blend this stuff together so that we're not getting a sharp cutoff in any of these places, but I like to keep these things separated for as long as I possibly can. And it helps a lot when you get into a situation like where we are right now and we want to, you know, make some changes to the neck. It's like, well, good thing I kept that separated so I can make that a little bit better. Make that work a little bit easier there. And I will, once I blend these together, I'll have to work on this area as well, because now that's starting to subduct a little strangely and connect a little weirdly weirdish in there. So we'll figure that out once we merge those together. And I'm looking right now at my hair and making sure that that's hiding a lot of those seams in here. That'll be fine once I merge those and go from there. Let's see, how many subdivs do we have on our head and our body? 5 and 5, so I could even merge those together right now if I wanted, and they'd be perfectly fine. Alright, so let's see, what else we got? Samuel says, how much would I need to spend in software and hardware? That depends, Samuel. What do you want to do exactly? Your her boobs defy gravity, says designer hacks. Well, speaking of designer hacks, you can take that up with Dino on ArtStation. His concept. I'm just trying to play along. But yes, they absolutely do. Actually, a lot of things defy a lot of, not just gravity, but just anatomy and physics in general. We got some stretching going on, different shapes in the legs, different shapes in the hands and the arms. A lot of crazy stuff going on in this character. But I like it. I like that it's pushed so far, which is why I chose it. Let's see, so let me check off our neck up off our list here. Take another look at, so the hair, back, side, different shapes. Okay, cool. So let's get into our hair a little bit here, guys. And Samuel Sanchez says, for character artist. So, Samuel, if you're looking at a character artist, it sounds like maybe you're talking about video games or film. You know, I don't really know, but you're gonna have to be a little bit more specific. But let's say for you're gonna use different tool sets for all sorts of different stuff. I work on stuff for production, but if you're working on stuff for real-time assets, you're gonna look at, you know, grabbing, I don't know, something like, if you want to make a list, probably if you want to work on characters, you're probably going to want ZBrush, you're probably going to want Substance Painter for texturing, and you're probably going to want some larger 3D package like Maya or Max or Modo, something like that. So from there, you know, sky's the limit in terms of hardware. I built my own PC, but I think you could be totally fine working on assets with a $500 to $1,000 PC. If you want to build it, it could be even cheaper. But really, it's up to you in terms of what's important. And in terms of software, you know, you can go even crazier if you want to get stuff for Visualizing characters, you can grab Marmoset Tool Bag. You know, there's tons of stuff that you could need on top of what I've just listed. Marvelous Designer, if you want to do some stuff with some clothing and you're not great at sculpting clothing, or you want to be able to simulate that. I mean, there's a lot. There's a lot that goes into it, man. That's why I want you to be a little bit more specific. Yeah, absolutely. So the first thing that I want to do here, let me see something really quick. Whoops. And I'm gonna shout this out one more, I'm not one more time, I'm probably gonna say this again, but it looks like mostly everybody's watching on YouTube, which is fine because that's where I normally stream. But I am trying to get the Twitch affiliate program recognized this week. So it would really help me out a lot if you guys click the link in the description and instead of watching on YouTube, you watched it on my Twitch channel. I would really appreciate that. It really helps me get closer to that Twitch affiliate program. But yeah, definitely click that link down below. I would like that a lot. I see all the YouTube icons from chat and everything over here in the Restream chat. I'm using Restream right now, so it's pushing to both channels. But we can maybe in the future just stream on Twitch to help in that regard. So a few things that I was thinking about here in terms of breaking up the hair, because we're getting a lot of similar forms. Possibly just instead of having all these flats, maybe doing something to, it's a little strong. Just something to, what do I have dynamic on? What do I got on? Something that I have on right now is slowing down this. Play around with adding some different forms and shapes there. I think the silhouette of my hair could change slightly. I spent a long time on trying to get this into the shape that I have it right now, but from this hero angle, it's kind of got a little bit more of this point. There are maybe some slight internal changes to the shape of the hair that I could do as well. Like decreasing the size of some of these and increasing the size of others. Scale some of these down. Move this around. And maybe grab a really big move brush. She does have an afro, so that's what I was trying to keep this a little bit more rounded from our front view, but I honestly feel like it's the twist of her head that's maybe adding to this looking a little bit more flat over on this side in the silhouette. So instead of breaking up this roundness that we have, let's instead just look at some of these shapes that we can maybe tweak a little bit to get closer to our concept here. So I got some of these here already, and a few of these. I have a little trick here. If you have a lot of geometry in one subtool and you're having trouble just kind of working with all of these, just run in auto groups on these. You can see that these are polygrouped all differently. I keep it in my quick bar here, but it's just down in your poly grouping menu. It's very, very helpful for this kind of stuff. And I think I'm gonna turn off the poly paint as well. Just a little hard to see with that dark color. And make sure that that's grouped. Maybe try to scale this down some. Or maybe not even scale it down, maybe just squish it a little bit. And let's see. So a couple options that I have here on the hair for breaking up the forms on the backside. Like I said, maybe adding some texture and additional form to the rounded shapes that we have here. Also, maybe trying to increase and decrease the length of some of these, just so it's not all just the end caps of the hair tubes. That might help out a lot as well. So we'll play around with both of those options. Let's try to just move stuff around first and see what we can come up with. See how that works. Let's just switch on down to our lowest subdiv here and start grabbing some of these and using our transpose line to push and pull things around. I can just control tap on these with my transpose line, and that will allow me to be able to stretch those with the move option. Grow that. Grow and maybe move some of these a little bit more, just so we're not only seeing these end caps. And start to get a little bit more visual breakup like we have in the front of the hair. Unfortunately, we don't have additional views for our characters, so we have to make this look as similar as we can from the front view and then just interpret everything else from our other views here in an attempt to make this look as good as the front does. But sometimes designing this stuff can be a little tough. So now we're kind of in that stage where we have it all in place. It's just about getting it to read a little bit better. So adding a little bit more visual breakup to some of these areas. We might even be able to do some interesting stuff with poly paint to break it up even more. But I think over here in this side, which I've done a little bit more stretching and growing, I think we've already started to get a little bit more visual breakup than this other side where it's starting to look, or it's continuing to look a little bit more flat. So let's try that some more here. And another thing I was thinking about was maybe trying to add a little bit more gravity to some of these, but I have them clustered and organized in such a way that that might not be incredibly easy to do. I guess we'll just have to play around here and see what we can do. I think that other side, like I said, was already starting to look better. So I think maybe it's just a combination of a few of these things. Trying to get more layering in here. Yeah, we're getting closer. And again, the way I'm doing that, since I know a lot of you don't use the transpose line very often, but you can have a piece of geometry and use the transpose line with the move option to actually stretch and skew it. So you can stretch it out or shrink it in. So pretty useful in a lot of different situations. Omar, what's going on? Welcome to the stream. more stretch. A little bit more depth. Turn on everything. And just see what this is starting to add up towards. I have to be careful on some of these pieces of geometry. Don't want them breaking into or interpolating into my other geometry in the neck, in the back there. This is why I like to toggle all those things off. They end up just getting in the way. Plus we get a ton of slowdown here. We're at close to 40 million polys, which isn't bad. That's fine. But that plus live boolean is gonna cause a lot of slowdown when just trying to make smaller changes with everything on, or like just form changes in general with the move brush. You definitely want to, once you start getting up to this level, you want to start soloing different stuff and working on it individually. So if I wanted to focus on the arm or something, I would probably toggle off everything except for, you know, all the different forms that I have over there and work on that area a little bit. And then turn everything on when I need to get a larger picture kind of view. Yes, hello from and to Mexico. How's life in Mexico? What's new? What's good in Mexico right now? What's the new hot thing? What is the new fidget spinner of Mexico? Oh, we got some. Is that a polygroup issue? What's going on there? I think I just clicked and dragged a little bit more than I wanted. Tacos. Tacos are good in Mexico. I think you're probably not far from the truth. Tacos in Mexico sound pretty good. Mexico keeps its memes alive forever. Is this for 3D printing? It is set up in such a way that it would be really easy for me to prep it for 3D printing. I have a ton of experience in printing for FDM, SLA, and SLS, but I don't plan on immediately printing this when I am finished. This will just be for presentation purposes, not for 3D printing, at least immediately. I would love to print this character though. It'd just be pretty expensive, and I don't currently have access to an SLA machine, so I would want to do it in SLA for sure. Why do memes have to die so quickly? That's because the internet's memory is about, you know, one day. It's like a goldfish, the entire internet. It's like on to the next hot new thing. Hence why I don't really enjoy jumping on the bandwagon when all artists start to draw one specific character. I'm not much for bandwagoning. So we're definitely starting to get some more visual breakup in the backside of our hair. We're no longer having this flat kind of rounded level shape to everything. I might be able to push this even further. Well, I definitely can push it further. I just don't want to push it in such a way that it starts looking like big old turds. Literally here on the hair. Big brown swirls. So we're like halfway there to turddom. We just want to avoid that. And I think another thing that's going to help in that is, like I said, attempting to add some of that texture to the ends of our hair. Let's try to maybe figure out what one of those could look like. I was planning on just using something like my soft, sharp edge brush here. Trying to do like a little cinnamon roll cap or something similar to that. I don't know, we can play around with this and try a few different things. Tell me the truth, are you 3D printed? I cannot confirm or deny that I am, in fact, 3D printed. I can say no more. Legally, I'm not allowed to. The public doesn't know that government tech is there yet. I think this is a little bit too tight. That gets a little too noisy. So maybe let's try something bigger, lower Z intensity. Something like that, maybe. That's definitely reading a little bit better, giving a little bit more interesting form there. Let's try a couple more of these maybe, and just kind of see how these are playing together. I don't want to do all of these the exact same direction, so let's maybe try to break up these swirls some. We'll just let's play around here and do a few of these and just kind of see what it's looking like. And for the sides of some of these, I might end up doing some more sculptural form. Some of these are kind of lacking geometry, more so than others. So that might be another concern. Might need to subdivide some of these up. I don't know if I like this yet. I guess we'll figure it out. That's kind of more of what I'm looking for. Maybe I just need to lower that Z intensity even a little bit more. I think rounding out the ends of these actually seems to help as well. So they're looking. I'm noticing that the ones that are more rounded are reading a little bit better with this added form on top. It's not terrible. I don't know if it's exactly what I want, though. Carl asks, could you briefly explain types of materials used in 3D printing and when to use each? That would not be something that I could probably do briefly, but for the most part, if you're not familiar with 3D printing, not all that familiar with 3D printing, you're pretty much just looking at FDM printing, which is a bed with an extruder, and it looks like it's got a spool of plastic on it, like a weed whacker kind of material feeding into the extruder. That's FDM, and you're typically just going to look at PLA or ABS. PLA is the easier of the two to work with. If you don't know why you should use ABS, then you probably shouldn't. It's a lot more finicky to get right with temperature, and it's like slightly more flexible. PLA's more hard and brittle. PLA's just easier to work with, easier to clean up and sand down, and everything else. You know, it depends what you're 3D printing for as well. You know, there's only a million applications for 3D printing. If you're doing something for RP, for rapid prototyping, then you're probably just going to want to use SLS and do some resin printing. If it's something that's for to prototype like a production piece, resin's definitely the way you're going to want to go. So SLA for the most part, and just kind of print everything a little bit easier because you don't have to worry too much about flats. There are other concerns when worrying about 3D printing for SLA, but like I said, it would take a long time to get into all this stuff. That's kind of like the basic rundown. FDM and PLA, like PLA through FDM is what you're like, what you probably think of when you think of 3D printing. Or what most people probably think of. Hug my dang gum hand. I might even be able to do like a second pass on these and make some of these forms. I'm just gonna keep going on these. Because you know I'm not gonna worry about undoing any of this. I can just hit it with a second pass and soften it, or maybe even tighten up some areas. Really, it's not a big deal. It's not gonna be hard to clean this stuff up. There's just a lot of it. So just organizing is the main concern. So this is definitely helping to break up a lot of these forms. I just don't know if I like the major read that we're getting of everything together. But we would push through and go from there. So that's like way higher res on this piece. It's almost a million polys just in that hair strand, so some of these are quite a bit thicker than others. It's okay though. I think I'm going to split off all these lower res pieces of hair so that I can add some more subdivs to those. Thanks, appreciate it. Absolutely, man. Let's see. Carolina, thank you for the subscription here on YouTube. I appreciate it. We got like 20 peeps in here now, which is fantastic. If you guys are... Whoa, what did I just do? Turned on my floor. Don't want that. If you guys are watching on my YouTube channel, please, 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 please take 5 seconds, scroll down in the description. I don't pulled up. Scroll down in the description and click the link to go watch this on my Twitch channel. Maybe tonight. I'm gonna be streaming again later tonight. I'm gonna take a little break for lunch in a little bit, but I'm trying to get the Twitch affiliates program, and for that, I've already reached the follower goal. But what I need next is to have X number of concurrent viewers, so an average of like a certain number of viewers at once. And I would have easily met that here on YouTube because you guys are so awesome and come and watch on YouTube. But if instead you watch on Twitch, which I would love if you would click that link, well then I can actually get that Twitch affiliate program, and that would be super good for me, and I would appreciate your help in that. So please, click that link in the description and watch this on Twitch. It's exactly the same. I also have Twitch alerts set up there. I don't actually know if the alert system is working right now. I can if I click test it works, but I don't know if it's working when someone actually subscribes or anything. I haven't been paying close enough attention, and for that, I am sorry. But yeah, it looks like there's a lot of new people in here. So if this is your first time checking out my streams, welcome guys. Appreciate you stopping in and hanging out. This is a character, ooh, as soon as I go to show you, we get a quick save, of course, that always happens. This is a character that I have been working on for quite a while. It's Domino from Deadpool. This illustration, this concept is by Domino on ArtStation, D-I-N-N-O. If you search that on ArtStation, you should be able to find their work. They're super cool. They have a ton of awesome concepts, so definitely check out their artwork. And maybe you'll find something cool that you want to sculpt or 3D model yourself. But Domino likes to push his work very far. So a lot of things are kind of broken here and require a lot of problem solving. I sculpted this character completely asymmetrically, so that was kind of a huge challenge and a lot of fun to try and succeed in up to this point. So if you're definitely looking for a challenge, I would recommend trying out one of his concepts. He's got some really cool stuff. But I've had a ton of fun working on this character. I'm still having a blast working on it, and this is like the stage where really like things are coming together. It's like not even the last 10%. It's like the last 2% of everything. You're just like these last few little things all start to really add up, and that's where we are right now. Kind of this hair is, I think, one of the last things before I start setting up the character for render, which I have not done yet. I think I did I don't remember if it was this character or not. I thought I had like a test render set up. But I want to try to do something a little bit different with the render this time around, and maybe, well, I don't know. We'll see. I don't want to make any promises yet, but we'll get there when we get there, and we're pretty close to getting there. I definitely like the shapes that I get from this hair on the ends when the shape is more rounded and not flat like it is right now. So I think that is going to be one thing that I do to a lot of these hair pieces once I break these out. So right now they're all just in one giant subtool with 12 million polys, but once I split these up, it'll be a lot easier to manipulate. It's because some of these are like 1 million polys per strand, and other ones are, you know, 20,000. So there's a pretty large discrepancy, just because there's a lot of a lot of these that have some really tight form in them, and a lot that are pretty loose and just kind of there. Whoop. So let's just get a general read now that we've kind of gone through here and added some additional form. It's getting a little bit noisy. So one of the things I would like to do, again, is soften these shapes and maybe in some way attempt to round out those end caps so they're not quite as flat. So let's look at that. Let's look at that next. Turn off live Boolean as well so that I can work on this a little bit easier. Twitch channel has huge buffering. Maybe because you're in Korea, you say. Or, well, yeah, I guess, yeah, it's working for me, so that very well might be the case. Plus it's, what's it called? Restream. So it's going from me to Restream out to YouTube and Twitch. So no worries if it's like not working over there. I don't want you I don't want you to not be able to watch if you can't. So not a big deal, man. So let's look at rezzing up quite a few of these, I guess. How am I gonna do this? Let's just delete our subdivs on our hair and grab the super low res pieces. So that's super low res, that's 30K. So we'll split that off. Let's do a quick save just because that was pretty laggy. This is a pretty dense mesh and I don't want to crash and lose everything. So I'm just splitting off all these little hair strands that are a little bit lower resolution than some of the other ones. So mostly these ones in the back, they're like 20,000 points or so, 20 to 30. But if we look at some of the pieces in the front, such as this one, it alone is like 1 million points. And that's because I have these extra forms in there that I wanted to be super precise and tight. But back here, another 30K, so we will split that off. Whew. Should have grabbed an energy drink before I hopped on here. That's 100, so that's not, I guess, terrible, but I'll still split it off. Anything that's not really close to the million mark, I'll start splitting. Whoops. It's mainly these low ones that are... Whoops, almost did something. I don't know what I clicked there on accident. Maybe merge? I don't know. So lots and lots of hair strands. This was pretty complicated to build up the shape that we see now. So now I'm kind of reverse engineering, going back, and I'm gonna up-res this hair even more. Actually, instead of adding subdivs, I'll probably just Dynamesh instead. That way we don't have to go up by a factor of 4. So some of these are like 25, 30K polys, and I think Dynameshing that will be a little bit better. The problem is if I subdivide something that's 30K polys, here, I'll show you. Let me split this one off. So I could subdivide this and it'll be like 100K, but if I want to bring this res up, maybe just a little bit more, up to like 50 or something, which would probably be enough, I would just want to Dynamesh this. So at the default 128, that's too low, so maybe like 200 or something. That's like 80K. So at 200,000, that's still a little, maybe a little bit low res. We're starting to get like this voxelation in here, this stair-stepping of the polys. We don't want that. So maybe we will have to up-res a little bit more than we want. The problem is I just don't want to add in another 20 million polys to this character up in the hair. I can decimate that later, but at least initially, just for organizational purposes, I was trying to condense everything. But you know what? I say we just work on it and not... I pretty much never worry about poly count. I've never... I mean, with my current machine, I don't run into any issues, but even if you have a pretty weak kind of setup with your hardware, if you're splitting everything out to separate subtools, you should be perfectly fine. Like, I don't see any reason why you couldn't work on a character with 100 million polys. Like, if you just split everything up in a smart way, it shouldn't be a problem. Okay, this is pretty close. There are just a few more here. I could run a split to groups operation on this, but this is so dense that I don't want to do that. Plus, a lot of these I still want to keep together, and the way I'm trying to split this up in a somewhat understandable way for myself, so I can keep the high-res pieces of geometry together and get rid of the low-res. And split those off to individual pieces. Like, these are all the high-res kind of hero pieces that are like all 500,000 to 1 million polys each. So these are all, I think, fine to remain together. And then the other pieces will have to be manipulated individually, which we have a really easy kind of way to jump back and forth between those. I will reconstruct my subdivs though on our hero hair, our front fluff, as I will call it. Okay, and then let's just start working these even more on the back. So what I'm looking for are the pieces that are maybe a little bit more flat than I'm wanting. So what I was thinking that could happen was, I guess let's begin by, let's just do a 125, or sorry, 128 Dynamesh. And I was thinking about rounding out a lot of these, just so we weren't getting the same, you know, flat plane on all of these. They were originally starting to read as all the same length, all the same like flat shape on the ends, and it wasn't looking super great. So that's kind of the main reason why we're jumping back through here and playing with all this. But I think kind of trying to round out a few of these and then go from there. We can kind of see how these are shaping up. Let's grab our color there for our hair as well. So sharp soft edge brush, pretty similar to the damn standard. But let's see. It's definitely reading better from the end cap. I'm wondering if I can maybe just put a couple additional strokes on the edges like that, just to get a little extra read there in the sides of the form, so it's not looking so flat there. I think that works pretty well, and we can kind of tackle some of the other strands here in a similar fashion. Like, something like this right here. Whoops, let's apply our material and color. Something like this piece here, it's like super flat and it just has this swirl on the end. So I think, let's try rounding this one out too. And I'll just kind of look at these individually, maybe tweak all of them, maybe tweak like half of them, I don't really know. We'll see. Just take some time to clean this up and make it look as good as we can. I mean, these are important things. Even though it's the back of our character's head, it is still our character's head, which is a very important part of our character. Weak, sharp, soft. Ooh, wrong one. Sorry. Sharp, soft edge. And if that's reading too hard, I can always go back through with a large and soft smooth brush and help that out. And I'm not making like these super hard cuts in the surface. I'm just trying to get a little bit of that shadowing in there. Come back through. So initial form buildup with that clay tubes brush, just to round things out. The low-res Dynamesh helps out too, just to kind of break that. I do like the forms that we were building up before with the kind of spiral there, but I think they were just too flat. I think it looked too kind of unorganic. Looked weird. And hopefully this rounding out will also help in just the depth of the hair. Previously it was, everything was looking the same length. If we look at like these extreme kind of top views and different angles, we're starting to see more stair stepping going on, which is what I was aiming for a little bit here. Let's see. But yeah, one step at a time here. I'm just doing some quick like V shapes on the side to make it look like it continues to spiral back through. Just because it's not visible, I'm not going to sit here and actually spiral the whole hair. There's no reason to. No reason to sculpt anything that's not going to be seen. Like if you're working on a character that's going to be wearing clothing or armor and it's guaranteed that that is like what it's going to look like, there's no reason for you to say sculpt the, like if it's going to be wearing armor, there's no reason for you to sculpt the torso of that character. Like you might want to put like a proxy mesh in there just so you can figure out proportions, but like why would you waste the time sculpting any anatomy in there? Unless there's a possibility that at some point that character will be seen without armor or wearing something differently different in the future. And really just like a couple of these swipes are needed on this mesh. Something like this might require a little bit more attention just because more is seen, but coming through here. A couple of these quick little zigzags and follow through on the other side, maybe. And, I wasn't planning on adjusting any of these, but I think maybe softening some of this stuff. Because it looks a little tight. It's just a little softening here and there. Fade that out towards the end and towards the center a little bit. These are all different reses, so I have to kind of be careful here as I step up and down through my subdivs. I don't want to destroy some of the tight shapes that I've built into here. This one is a little bit more flat than maybe what I was thinking. I don't know. Let's leave it alone for now and we can come back to it. Let's get a view of how everything is looking here while we continue to progress on our hair. So we got a bunch of brown turd cinnamon rolls. So very appetizing. But we're definitely getting more breakup. Main concern being just noise in general. Things start to get a little noisy. So I think adding some smooth to a few of these and just softening up that reed is going to help quite a bit. Let's see. This is one. A lot of these still have subdivs too, so I can reconstruct. And I'm getting some errors in my polypaint data. I don't know how well you guys can see this like little square here and here. There's another one in there. It's because on your lower res geometry, if you like polypaint or smooth has RGB on by default, so it can mess it up. But if you're polypainting on a lower res piece, and as you step back up through your subdivs, you'll start to see a lot of these errors here. So if you're ever polypainting, make sure it's pretty much only on your highest subdiv, and you shouldn't run into any issues. If you do, you'll have to kind of paint it out manually or just fill in your object entirely. It depends, I guess, what you're polypainting. If it's something that's a little bit more complex, you might be screwed and you might have to like manually do it. But for something like this, I can just fill it all in since it's one color and get rid of, you can see all those errors go away. I'm actually just going to leave it alone for now, and I'll tackle all the hair at once for fixing any of those weird areas where polypaint is getting out of control. This hair is just, it's a lot. It is a lot to work on. This is probably one of the most, I keep doing that, one of the most unique hair like sculpts that I've ever done. I've done more complex hair before, but this is kind of a little bit of a unique challenge. I've never done, well, one, I've never done an afro, and two, I've never used like hair tubes to do an afro, but kind of made sense for the styling that we see happening in our illustration. So here we are trying to make it work, and it's coming together slowly but surely. I'm going to hide a lot of stuff here in my hand. It's really easy to overdo these, which is kind of what I'm running into right now, to over-sculpt them. The main kind of issue I was looking at as we got a little bit closer to breaking up this form was that it was just getting too busy. So now I'm kind of trying to find that balance, which is the tough part right now. A little bit more breakup. Follygon used tackle. Yeah. It's my normal move, right? I have some special moves, but that's just my go-to. Tackle it hard as you can. Can't use it too much though, or I'll run out of what is it? PP PowerPoints, right? I have to use some of my special moves every now and again. Sculpt a little bit, zoom out, get a huge kind of wave, like big picture view of everything working together, and then more than likely knock back a lot of what you've done, just because it's getting busy. Don't run out of your PP? Yeah. I can sculpt for a long time, thankfully. So I don't think I'm gonna run out of PP. Saying PP sounds wrong for multiple reasons, but I don't think I'm gonna run out anytime soon. That's how I sculpted my Charizard. Just kept tackling it. I think Anubis, or maybe it wasn't you, Anubis. You were asking about the that course on my Gumroad. Sculpting Toys and Collectibles, I think, is what it is titled. Something along those lines. But yeah, we create a lot of really clean stuff in that one. I had a lot of fun just working on that character in general. I've wanted to do Charizard for a while. That was weird. If you guys don't know, so every brush has an opposite kind of interaction. So like holding Alt pushes in, right? But for your smooth brush, it actually has an opposite feature, which is like destroy your geometry, which is real fun. And it just activated on by itself. I don't know why. It just like freaked out on me. It's been a long time since that's happened. I've actually at one point, this bug has only happened to me I think once, but essentially what happened was it was like my Alt key was stuck. Not even that actually. All my brushes just did their negative interaction, and if I switched it to Z add or Z sub, it didn't matter. I could only get my brushes to do their negative interaction. It was so weird, and it was also super annoying. But after, you know, like the way you solve all your problems, I turned it off and back on. Restarted ZBrush and it worked fine. It was just super weird. I don't know if I hit a button somewhere that did that. No idea. It's only happened once, like I said. Very strange. Very annoying. But it's not my favorite ZBrush glitch. Or bug. My favorite ZBrush bug is when you start getting the mosaics on your screen. I can never get them to happen intentionally or recreate it, but I have like a folder full of different like ZBrush mosaic glitches. I want to collect more, and then I'll eventually share my whole folder of ZBrush mosaic bugs. It hasn't happened in a while. It typically happens when you're moving something like this, geometry around other geometry. I don't know, maybe I can get it to do it. Live Boolean slowing things down. But yeah. I think our hair is, again, maybe still too noisy, but we do have some good breakup going on, which I like more than what we had previously, for sure. The hair was like the last thing I wanted to tackle. There's that word again. Tackle. But I don't know. I don't want to continue to just work on this and continue to do the same thing for the next multiple hours and have this be really boring. So I think I'll work more on the hair, maybe on my own off of stream, just so this isn't quite as boring. And instead, let's see what time we're at, and I think we'll work on our goober boy. Head on back to Goofy for a minute or two. Let's take a look here at a couple things real fast before we do that though. Whoops. Our Goofy character, what happened here? I don't remember moving this. Huh. Not sure what happened. I'm gonna have to move this back though. That is like impossible to see. This is the belt buckle. For some reason it's, I guess when I was adjusting the body I somehow pushed everything forward a little bit. Or not forward but back. And this belt buckle didn't go with it. These are, it's super annoying when you're like, when you've worked on a character so long and there's like this little piece like a belt buckle that you completely forget about, and then you go to look at it later and it's like, why are you so screwed up? What happened to you? That happens quite often, actually. Let's make sure that these little pouches are kind of, yeah, they're still aligned fairly well. Don't know what happened to the belt buckle. I'm not going to worry about it though. We will look more at the hair, or I will look more at the hair on my own later. So let's load in Goofy for those of you who have not seen, and we'll do some work on him. He's looking really good too. So let me save this out. I'm just gonna call it Domino 1. It'll be fine. And then we'll let that finish up. Let's load in Gooby, ZBrush, Goobert 5. Load this dude in. Cool, cool, cool. He's looking good. Let's take a look at deleting this as well. Actually, you know what? Let's keep that there for a moment. But I will load in my Goofy spotlight for reference. Okay. I will do one quick save. And then I will delete this, just so I can pop back to that really easily if I want to. Oh, okay. So, in our last stream working on Goofy, for those that were here for that, we've done a lot. We've done a lot to this guy. A lot of it was kind of proportional changes, working on finding like these negative spaces and making sure that we were kind of fitting within that realm properly. If you guys were here for the last stream, then you saw me working on our shoe back here, which was a little bit more complicated than this one for many reasons, but the main one being just this really tight bend that we have in here. I'm noticing a little kind of screwy concavity happening here, so I want to correct this really fast, just to make sure that this is reading correctly from the silhouette, from the profile. So this is, like I said, kind of our hero view here. We can even save that view if we want. I'll typically try to save at least, you know, one view while I'm working, using my timeline, so I can just snap back to that. Very nice to have that. So it's been a while since I've looked at this Goobert, so there's a lot of things that I immediately kind of pick up on. Mainly just changes in the face to try to get a little bit closer to the appeal of what we're seeing in this Goofy. Some of these things are going to be a little bit tough because they're pushed very, very far, especially the eyes. The eyes are kind of the big Goofy area, right? So let's look at that. A few other things that are sticking out to me. I think I lined up my pants already. I actually did not do this pant leg though, so I need to fix this one. And I think our sleeves need some help with some asymmetry. This one's not even lined up on the other side, so we will yawn very quickly, only once, no more yawning, and then we will get to work. I'm gonna start off by just correcting some minor things that stick out to me, little things here and there, and then I will jump down to the pant leg. It's kind of a minor thing, and we'll just continue to jump around here as much as we can. I do not have symmetry on for this character. We've broken symmetry at this point, so we are in the thick of it. Just kind of, well, we don't really have an option, so everything is asymmetric So a lot of individual tweaking, rotating the camera on, turning perspective on and off, and just making sure that things are reading from every possible view here. That's really my main concern. We are 3D artists after all, so those other angles of view are in fact pretty important. We don't want to just worry about our one hero view. It would be nice if that was the case. Quite a bit of, I don't know what happened to this leg, or what I was thinking. Just had that growing out so much. Which I think I can still get some of that taper. Maybe not to the extent that it was previously. So I'm not trying to make this flush or anything, but I do want it to be pretty similar to my other pant leg. And then I will most likely create some kind of hollow in there. Or like extrude up into that shape a little bit. We'll see. I haven't really decided yet. Plus, actually that's a fairly good edge loop, so never mind, I take back everything I was about to say. It might work out pretty well. If you guys are getting these weird shapes and colors on your poly groups when you're using Polyframe, that's just because you have Live Boolean on. Live Boolean causes a lot of tiny little issues, the main one being just lag in general, slowdown. So if you are experiencing that kind of lag while you're sculpting or moving something around like I am right now, typically it's a good guess, a solid guess that Live Boolean is your issue. Either Live Boolean or the other big offender is your dynamic subdivision levels. So just come down into dynamic and turn that off. I have it on right now because I don't actually have subdivs in this, so I don't want that quite yet. I will add some subdivs here shortly though. But I can't tell you how many number of times I've been sculpting on something with subdivision levels and I still had dynamic on and didn't realize it. It's pretty annoying to deal with. But there we go, that's getting much tighter in there, reading a lot better. We can turn all that back on, I guess, as well as Live Boolean. And kind of getting a little bit of a gap here. I'll leave that alone. So first I just wanted to align that with the shoe and then kind of look at this from the bottom angle here. So this is pretty terrible what we're seeing here. Let's solo everything but our pant leg. We're getting like really warbly up through here. That's definitely not what we want. So let's start by adjusting our pant leg. Get that looking clean. I do want a little bit of a swoop from the bottom, as that is apparent in our image here. I'll just leave that up for now. But yeah, these edge loops, I think what I like to do normally is just kind of delete them if they're not looking super good, which they aren't, because they're causing some dip in our surface. So I'll just temporarily delete those and then add them back in. Where's my shoe? This is much easier actually, just keeping these all soloed together. line all that up. I'm also looking at stuff like this edge, making sure that that's not, you know, all over the place. So keeping that clean. Looking at that from multiple angles, I think that's reading just a million times better now. And then it's really easy to use our Z modeler brush and insert some poly loops, right? So we'll just add in a few here to help retain that form a little bit better as we subdivide up through the chain. Turn everything back on, and we are looking a lot better. One more time looking at that pant leg. Still a slight kind of hit here in the angle change. I'm actually going to correct this by sliding this entire thing a little bit to the left here, and then moving my boot into that area as well to line up with that. Actually, I might not need to. I could a little bit. I actually need to change the angle of my boot. So my boot is facing perfectly straight on the x-axis. And the reason that that's happening, let me mute that. The reason I'm doing that is because we're not on the x-axis with this shoe, but if you guys didn't know, you can use local symmetry, this little toggle here, to still be able to sculpt on something symmetrically. Even if the piece isn't actually symmetric or symmetrical, much like our pant leg here, I can still turn on X symmetry, and it will essentially find the center point of that geometry, which is about right here, and then allow you to kind of work on that symmetrically as if it were. So a little trick there. I use local sim quite often. It's very helpful, and I think you should try it out too if you have not in the past. Especially if you start to pull stuff off of the symmetrical axis, it becomes very, very helpful. So, how are we gonna do this? Hide everything except for our pantaloons and such. And then head into transpose master, transpose mesh. So I'm gonna break that symmetry that I have right now. Break that x-axis, that straight axis. Make sure I got everything there. And how am I gonna do this? I guess we'll just add a slight bit of rotate and move to line this up with the pant leg a little bit better. And I kind of want to try a little bit of a kick out here. So let's see how well this works. I don't know. I was thinking something like that. I'll kind of have to step back into my subtools to see how that's reading together, but like that's kind of the read that I'm getting on this leg, that it's just kicked out super far. I don't want to push it crazy far. Just a little bit, I think, will help to aid in the read of that silhouette there. So let's see how that's looking. So I'm starting to get the hits in the correct places for my concept a little bit closer too, once I've done that. Another concern of mine was that this shoe is a lot larger than this one. In perspective, this is farther back, and the length is still longer than this shoe. So I've kind of done that already, but I think maybe kicking it out to get it a little closer to the camera would help a little bit. And then I might even need to shrink it down some, which would be appropriate so that the shoes are closer in scale. Let's, I guess let's do a quick measurement. Just kind of see, get a general idea. 6.5, 5.5, so 12-ish. 7.8, 7.8. Okay. So I do think that shrinking down this back shoe would help those feel a little bit closer to the same size. I don't know if you guys can tell, but especially when I see stuff with like a really sharp bend in it, like what we have here, it starts to feel cheated a little bit when it is feeling larger. So that's kind of the read that I'm getting right now. So I would like to scale that down ever so slightly without breaking everything else that we've done up to this point. Quick transpose back, and then we can look at this all together. So when you're scaling, the thing that you might want to keep in mind is where you are scaling from. I'm going to scale from this vertice specifically, so everything will uniformly come in around that area. So I probably won't have to make as much tweaks and moves for my shoe. So I'm just going to do this ever so slightly, like I said. Remeasure some things. 4, 6.5. Okay. And this shoe really is just bigger back here. I mean, that's how it's pushed, so I don't want to I don't want to go too small. Really, I think it was just kind of a minor change there. And then let's realign our pant leg, I think. And then we'll look at our sleeves, which is another... Sleeves and face are like the things that stick out to me the most other than this area right now. And then we'll actually be able to see that scaled down so we can kind of compare it to what we previously had. I don't think it was that big of a change, but I think it does help. When I'm scaling that down, some of the things that I am looking at as I rotate around here is like coming down from the knee and where that connects to like the tip of the shoe. I'm looking at this arm as it flows down and where that needs to hit the shoe as well. I mean, we have to have this angle aligned properly from everything else though, so maybe a little bit closer to that point there. But it's tough when you have one image to go off of. There's a lot of back and forth in this stuff. Let's not worry about the feet anymore though. Let's also turn off symmetry on those, because that'll mess some stuff up later for sure. I think I definitely shouldn't have that on either foot. Also, oh, I totally forgot. I wanted to, I haven't loaded them in yet, but, so the ZBrush Summit was this past weekend, which I'm sure many of you checked out, but there were some new Z plugins that were added that we can kind of download and play around with. The one that I wanted to play around with the most was the color palette plugin, which is pretty cool. The other ones were, there was like a volumetric calculator, which is very awesome for 3D printing. I don't know if it gives you straight up the volume of your object, but if it does, that's incredibly, incredibly helpful for printing, for figuring out like cost and everything else. What was the other one? I can't remember what the other one was off the top of my head, but it wasn't something that I was super interested in. We don't have the UV plugin yet, I don't think. And then like the other big announcement was that ZBrush is getting folders in the subtool window over here. So the folders are like incredibly helpful, and everybody has wanted those forever. Everybody was like freaking out, like, oh yeah, finally folders. ZBrush, why did it take you so long to get folders? But I guess we have them now, so it's not the end of the world. Who we got? Rohit. Rohit, what's up? What's going on? What are you up to today? Other than Rohit things. I don't exactly know what Rohit things implies, but I assume you do. Our eyes are pushed so very far. I think the main thing that feels off to me for some of this stuff, kind of how far it's pushed, but just the shape language that's happening in, I think mainly the eyes, and then a little bit the head and the mouth slash kind of cheek area here. I'm getting a little bit too much of a curve, I think, back here. Clean that up a little. See how that goes. No, I did not. I did not go to the summit. I just watched here at home. But yeah, I was just talking about that. We got, what did we get? We got some new plugins to play around with, that we can play around with right now. I was thinking about doing that on the stream. Maybe tonight I'll do that. I'll be hopping back on the stream tonight. But also, we got the folders announced, which was pretty cool. Everybody was freaking out about that. What else? Oh, the third plugin was the geometry mask tool. It uses the live Boolean system, and you can interpolate geometry into each other and then create masks from it. So that was like kind of cool. I probably won't use that. At least like it'd be a very specific case where I would use that. But yeah, I think it's cool. I know they added that from like one question that they got on Ask ZBrush. I don't know if there was like a huge need or desire for that. I feel like some dev time kind of gets wasted in some of like these little things that are very edge case scenarios that I wish they would spend elsewhere, but you know, I don't get to decide what the dev team does, nor probably should I. But it does feel very wasteful of resources, unfortunately. So, our eyes. Our shape language in our eyes just feels off. And I think, how do I do this? I think maybe playing around with this area a little bit more is going to be very helpful. So let's try that. Just polygroup our eyes. It's gonna be a little bit harder to do this with the low res meshes actually, but I don't know. We'll see. We'll see how easy this is. So let's see. Let's maybe try to round out this eye some more. Maybe even squash him down even more. So the eyes are like absolutely different shapes and sizes. Like, there's no getting around this. And I can try to push these a little bit, I guess, in that direction. I don't want to go so far that it just looks completely broken and stupid. That's kind of where we have to figure out where to draw the line, though. And as we mess with this a little bit more, we will get closer to figuring that out. One of the things that I was really concerned about was the eyelashes starting to feel really funny if they start to like bleed into the eye. One thing that might actually help in that is if I separate the eyes a little bit. Just trying to get that expression to read a little bit better here. And also this mouth, it's such a very, very specific shape. I think raising up this middle area will help a little bit here. And again, this is all like asymmetric now, so I have to do quite a bit more work to make even small changes. A little difficult to see with that material, maybe. Can switch it up. So really pushing those eye shapes. I'm gonna try to push these eyelids even more. Just YOLO it, see what happens. I'll show you where I wasn't liking the form transition. So if we look here, let's toggle off it's gonna hide my nose and hide most of this mouth. And I guess all this junk. Cool. So as I kind of try to make these eyelids feel like they're different height from this angle, right? We're getting that nice read here, but as we rotate, what I don't want is these eyelids to feel like these lashes are blending in to the eyeball, because all freaking Disney characters have their eyeballs like touching each other. Not all Disney characters, but a lot of them. Like there's Sonic Sonic, who's not a Disney character, but he's like the worst offender. He just has like one eye with two pupils. His eyes are so stupid. Goofy's like a rare case. I think Mickey has similar eyes, but so the way I've tried to go about making this not feel so weird, I guess, is by trying to make those eyelashes meet in the middle. It just starts to, I don't know what I'm gonna do here. Maybe I can start to taper in as we get closer here so it doesn't feel like it's pushing into the eye so much. Kind of helps, kind of taper off into nothing. Let's try that, I guess, a little bit more. I'm gonna solo just my eyes and work on these alone for a little bit and see if we can really start to fix this area. The eyes of your character, I mean, we all know how important the eyes are. I'm gonna separate these as well. So something like that, which definitely doesn't feel quite as terrible. I'd want to retain this kind of tapering all the way through this shape though. Something like that, maybe. I think that's definitely reading better overall. My main... I don't know. Let's try it on the other one too. We'll get there. I think I might even remesh these shapes, which will definitely help simplifying some of this form. I just need these to look more similar now. So when I use the smooth brush, typically what I like to do is step up through my subdivision levels if I have them. So I'll step up and down so that I have a little bit more control over how strong that smooth is going to be, which can be very, very nice instead of sitting there having to, adjust your intensity of your smooth brush every once in a while. Or very frequently, that's what I meant. We're getting there. Let's turn our head back on, I guess. Just start to look at how this is reading a little bit more as a whole. So I want to start to get this curve of this eyelid, these eyelids and lashes as they come in towards the middle, a little bit more to taper back in, or down, sorry. And I think we'll be a lot closer there. Another thing that I want to do is start to get, I guess, a little bit more of this. In the illustration, they've just made the eye shape, but we're gonna have to figure out how we can make that eye read a little bit more here on the bottom edge, And I'm just gonna have to like tuck those down pretty strongly, I'm thinking, just to make those eyes read a little bit better. It's a pretty large difference in shape from what we're seeing right now. So let's see what this looks like. So it's like this really, I mean, it's like just revealing the entire eye here. I'm kind of pulling down on both of these pretty hard. It's a pretty extreme form transition, but it also really lends to that like kind of baggy eye look that we have going on with our drunk Goofy. I don't know. I'll just keep playing with it. Try to get it closer without making it look like a big butt. That's how I do everything. Little tweaks here and there, and don't make it look like butt. It's the secret to sculpting, guys. Much closer now, though, now that we're pulling that down and just revealing more of that eyeball. Again, kind of, yeah, these are super low res. It's kind of hard to work with these. I'll just polygroup that and do the same thing here. Oops. So I guess just pull down here in the middle a little bit. Turn off visibility. So I'm looking here, we're looking at this S curve of the eyelid, and I'm just trying to capture that. I had it before, but I guess as I moved this around and made adjustments, it started to disappear. Same with this other one, yeah. And that'll happen as you make these kind of larger scale tweaks. Getting a little flat here. You'll have to readjust things that you've already done. I try to work in such a way that that doesn't happen, but occasionally. Luckily it was just like a little thing, so not a big deal. T-pose back, see what that's looking like. The main area I'm looking at is the bottom of the eyes here, and making sure that those eyeballs are reading as a whole a lot better. I also want to merge down our eye bags into the form of our mouth, just because I need to blend those edges. They're obviously just tubes of geometry right now, and blending those in will, I think, help in the read of this shape a little bit better too. So we can try that next. I want to take a little bit of a look at my eyelids here. This nose is so freaking big, it's like I can't even see around it to sculpt. So now that I've actually kind of tapered those and thinned them out, it's not such a big deal that the eyelash areas like bleeding over into the eye. Another thing I wanted to look at was maybe cleaning up the low res. Huh. Let's just try this really fast and see how much we break this. Hopefully the answer is not much. I'm gonna try to modify some of the edge loops. And then I might be able to get some creasing in here. You know what? No, I'm not gonna do that. I think what we have is fine to work with. I don't want to spend the time to recreate that low res piece when I can just tweak this. Tweak what I already have. Okay, so let's blend our little eye bags into our mouth. I think this will help a lot in getting that to read a little bit better in the eyes. So, first things first, let's just merge them together and delete our subdivs. We're not going to need those, but we will be able to get them back. Blanco ESP, sorry for not catching it, but thank you for the follow over on Twitch. I appreciate it, man. Okay, so what we're looking at here is as this gets up towards the middle, it'll fade out, and as it gets out towards the edge, it will also fade out. So before I merge these, let's try moving this inner piece down. It'll make this quite a bit easier to blend once I merge these together. Okay, let's try this and then Dynamesh. So when Dynameshing, I'm going to turn off my poly paint. Toggle that off, poly paint and material. But because I have them selected, it'll still look like it's applied to the surface. I just want to turn it off so that I can Dynamesh and retain my my groups. So let's try 120. That's about 500,000 polys. Can probably do better than that. Let's just try like 3 times that, see what happens. Pretty close to a max res Dynamesh. I think that's fine. Now let's figure out how we're gonna clean this up. So I think just let's try just hitting this with some smooth a little bit at first. I'm gonna be using my MAH cut and try. I'm gonna have to push some of this surface in, I think. Let's just play with this for a little bit. See what we can do. Using a little bit of the trim brush to flatten that plane. And then what I'll probably end up doing, like I said, MAH cut, pinch up through here, get a nice clean edge, and then begin to worry about edge quality and taper. Fade that out as it gets closer to the top up here. And we will remesh here shortly, which will also help in all those things. I am not going to retain this poly group, I don't think. I do want to retain this poly group though, because it helps with my the flow of my geometry up around this point, which I very much want. A little bit hard to see with all those lines on, so I'll just toggle that off. A little bit easier to see this way. And this is, whoops, turn this back on. This is all for just the top portion of his mouth here. So let's remesh. Start with like around 2K. This is actually, this might be a little bit more finicky than I want because I'm no longer symmetrical, so a little bit more tough to work with. I guess we'll see what the result is here and then go from there. And that'll take a minute or so. But how's everybody doing? I guess I can't see everybody's names here that are hanging out, but I hope you're all doing well, having a good day. I don't know if you're working on anything cool in 3D right now yourselves or doing any cool artistic projects, but if anything's got, or anything, if anybody has anything cool that they're working on, definitely come and share it on our Discord, our ZBrush Discord server. There is a link to that on the About page of my YouTube channel, I believe. Or if you would prefer, I can grab a link really quick. If you are interested in joining, shout it out and then go share it. Go share it there, or I'd love to hear about your projects as well. If you're working on anything cool. The uncool projects though, no. I don't care about the uncool projects. You can keep those to yourself. I'm just kidding. So we definitely got some jank geo, but for the most part we're looking pretty close to hitting the forms that we need. So I'm going to use our projection here to bring that back home. And then we'll have some nice subdivs that we can use to our advantage. In particular with the eyelids here that were, or those bags. I don't know exactly what you want to call them, but the form here that we're trying to create. So start off just hitting it with a passive smooth brush. What's happening? Okay, wrong brush. And then again, that MAH cut as we get this super tight edge through here. And remember, this is when we start focusing on edge quality. So as we get up here, I'm going to start to fade this out, kind of representing what we're seeing here a little bit better. And just focus on keeping that nice and tight here in the middle. Fade it out towards the ends. I don't want it fading out super fast here, so try to make that a little bit more gradual as well. And it sounds like my music has stopped, or maybe we're just on a very quiet song. There we go. Okay, so let's check this out from our hero angle and just look at this a little bit. So this edge is definitely reading a lot better. It was just looking super strong before with that tube in there. Now that's reading a lot more clean. Not only that, we're starting to get closer to our eye shape there. It's kind of some weird stuff going on there. But I think overall our eyes are looking a lot better, a lot more doofy or goofy, whatever you want to say. I wanted to say goofy, but I keep saying that and I need to stop because his name's Goofy and I can't just describe him as Goofy. Overall, character read, some impressions here that I'm getting. Maybe making the top of his head a little bit shorter or slant back more so than what we see right now. And I'm saying that just because of the angle of the ears kind of blending in here. Maybe not though. Might want to play with pushing the tongue back a little. I do want to add some subdivs to these pieces that I've kind of foregone subdivisions. Start subdividing a few of these. Oh, already have subdivs down here. That's right, we had to. For this form, which actually might need to be cleaned up a little bit more. And that has subdivs. The other really kind of big thing that I would like to do is fix our sleeves. They are sculpted symmetrically right now, so they definitely need some asymmetry to make these connect a little bit better. The way it's working right now, you can see how off it is on the one side over here compared to the other. We have that slotting in there fairly well. There's definitely some little, tweaks that we can make. But for the most part, that's pretty good. This one over here, not so much. So our good pal asymmetry needs to step in and make some of these changes. Another thing I don't want to forget about is my Boolean pieces. I will need to subdivide those as well before I forget. So that when I do subtract those, we're not getting just a crappy low poly subtractive piece there. Okay, so I've kind of foregone breaking symmetry with our sleeves for quite a while. They were kind of the last big thing that we did here. And the main reason for doing that was just because this form was quite a bit more complicated than a lot of the other stuff that we had going on. So I wanted to wait a little bit, but now I'm feeling fine with, I think, breaking sim here. So let's just go through and make sure we turn it all off. Nothing at this point should have symmetry on, I don't think. Just quick run through here. Okay, cool. This vest is also going to need some subdivs and maybe some additional form change. I'll forgo adding subdivs to that though. We'll wait just a little bit longer and focus on our sleeves here. What's going on, Wong? Welcome to the stream here, man. We are working on a concept by, I don't think I've shouted her out during our stream here yet, so it's Maddie C at Vertical Draws on Twitter. Definitely give them a follow. Working on a pretty cool sculpt. I like this character a lot. I like this concept a lot. Having a lot of fun figuring all this goofy stuff out that's going on in this concept. There's definitely a lot of stuff that's pushed and cheated in such a way where I need to do a little bit of designing on my end. Really strong shadow back here. Guess I need to push this in. These little things start to add up quick. Getting some pretty strong warble here as well. All right. Let's go into Transpose Master and start adjusting our sleeves. Start to get some asymmetry in here. And figure out exactly how that's going to slot in. So I'm not going to sculpt Goofy's hands just because the way that this is done, you know, his hands are supposed to be in his pockets and it's just like shadowed under there. So I'm going to try to get these to be pretty flush with his pant leg. At least that's what we're attempting to do. We will see how successful we can be in that endeavor, but let's just start here by, I think I'm gonna polygroup all of this. We'll make it a little bit easier to work with. Hey, thanks for the follow there, tell me. Appreciate it. I wasn't sure if the notifications were working there, the alerts, but I guess they are, so thank you. Let me see. So this is going to be a combination of moving the sleeve around as well as adjusting the shirt geometry to get that to conform around that a little bit better. So let's get in here and just polygroup all that, mask it off, start to adjust a little bit more. I think I'm also going to move this sleeve down all to get in here a little bit closer. Start lining this up. Try to avoid our geometry interpenetrating itself. Don't want any of that, at least none that is visible. We might be able to hide some of this. Pay Dode Flango. That's a mouthful. Thank you for the follow on YouTube. I appreciate it, man. I don't know if the maybe it's the YouTube notifications that aren't popping up. Either way, thanks for the follow. I appreciate it. Looking a little bit better. This side's definitely reading a whole lot better than our other side, so I think starting to wrap around here just a little bit better, pulling down on this back left side some more. This starts to get a little awkward back here, awkwardly thick. Wonder if I can correct this in here really fast. Clean up this curve. It's definitely looking a little bit weird on this back side here. Just trying to get kind of a similar shape, I guess, but I don't know. Not really feeling it now. I think this looks much better. And we will hop out of the low res here in just a moment after a little bit more tweaking. Much closer in lining all this up. Some of this stuff is just in the way, hard to see. Okay, let's head back into our subtools, back to the high res. And that'll take a moment, but we'll work on that other sleeve. I mainly want to look at what this sweatshirt edge is doing on the back side, because I pulled that pretty hard. I am gonna have to go grab some lunch here in a little bit. It seems like I've been eating lunch later and later each day. Let's see, how are we doing on time? Oh man, wow. I did not know I'd been streaming that long. We're coming up on 3 hours here. It didn't feel like it was that long. Yeah, I will give my throat a rest from talking as well. So that's slotting in there a little bit better, a little bit of interpolation happening. This edge, I kind of want to redo a lot of this. This just gets really dirty, and I don't know what happened here. I'm gonna duplicate that geometry, and I'm gonna try I'm gonna actually try to just clean this up really quick. Without breaking just everything. We'll see how successful we can be. It's just like the more... That's why I don't like adding subdivs to these low-res pieces too early, as it can start to just get a little out of hand as you add those subdivs in, and it starts to change the flow of the geometry too much. It's really frustrating. Help that slot in there a little bit better. And then what I'll do is use the Z modeler brush and add a bevel, like a really just super thin bevel through there and here. And then realign all this junk. So what happens is, if I were to subdivide this, it starts to pull these edges further and further apart. So I will add supporting edge loops in here in just a moment, and that will help a lot as I subdivide through those. I think that's kind of what happened there, or I know that that is what happened there. I just need to correct it now. But already looking a lot better here in the sleeved region. I need to make these a little bit more flush to hide those openings. I don't want you to even think that there might not be hands there. I need it to kind of hold the illusion that the hands are in his pockets. even though his pants are so freaking skinny. I don't know how his hands would fit anywhere. I guess they're just like balled up in his sleeves or something. I definitely get the read that he's like drunk Goofy, as I have coined him, is just strutting with his hands in his pockets. He's drunk or high, or Goofy is definitely on something. High on life, maybe. I don't know. Okay, so supporting edge loops. The way I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna try to bevel first, or let's try inserting poly loops and then getting closer here towards the edges. That's much better. That definitely supports that form a lot closer. And then we'll do the same thing on the inside just to help that so it doesn't smooth out really crazy. I just didn't want to crease it because it would be really a really hard form transition, and then it just looks stupid. I don't have any hard or sharp, I should not have any hard or sharp transitions. So like in here, maybe I might want to smooth that out a little bit. Some of these areas get a little sharper than I kind of intended. But yeah, that's a million times better now that that's not interpolating into itself there. And I think I'm gonna keep this. Oh, that's the old one. We'll delete the old one. I was confused. See if I can get that a little bit tighter to the surface. And I think overall I just need to change the way that this is interacting back here. Try to get a nice clean curve. And just try to get a read on that. I think that's looking much improved. All right, so we've worked on Domino as well as Goofy. So if you came here for Domino, I apologize. We stopped working on that because we were getting a little deep in the hair. I can show that really quick if I have it close by. Let's take a look here. Figure out where I saved it. There we go. All right. So Domino. Really minor tweaks to this character, but overall things that helped the silhouette read a lot better in terms of her profile, and a little bit from the front view as well, with like the hips and back. The hair is something that I still need to play around with. Overall, I think it's definitely improved at this point, even with just a little bit of work. But I will at least be tackling that a little bit more and playing around with some of these forms in the hair and trying to figure out where to go from there. But yeah, that's Domino, so if you missed that. And then Goofy, of course, we've made just some minor tweaks and changes all around, but for the most part, the bigger changes were kind of in the face and trying to figure out these eyes a little bit better. But yeah, he's looking good. Both of these characters are much improved after even just like a short session, but really, you know, these things take a long time in 3D, so let me save this out really fast, and then I think that'll be it for now, but I will definitely be back on later tonight if you guys are around. So I'll be gone for like a couple hours here probably. Grab some lunch and take care of some other stuff. But yeah, definitely check out Maddie C at Vertical Draws on Twitter. That's who did the original concept here. Dino did the Domino one. And what else? If you guys like the free stuff here that I do on my YouTube channel, please check out my my Gumroad. I offer some mentorship, a lot of courses that I put a lot of work into with real-time footage. They come with Z-tools and some other stuff in there. But yeah, check those out if that's something that you are interested in. There's a link down in the description. And then if you're watching on YouTube, please go check out my Twitch channel as well. I'm going to be probably only streaming on there later tonight, just because I'm really trying to push for the affiliates program on Twitch, which I've pretty much already met. It's just like getting concurrent viewers is the hard one, because everybody watches here on YouTube, which isn't a huge deal, but I want to try to get that. So thanks for coming and hanging out, guys, and I will hopefully see you later tonight if you are around. And yeah, I think that's everything. So have a great rest of your day, and if I don't see you later tonight, I'll hopefully see you in the next one. All right, see you guys.